first lesson is one that we sometimes read around the Easter story or around Easter time. It's the story of some disciples walking after the Lord had been crucified, and they were very sad. They were walking, and the Lord caught up with them. Seems like perhaps they were walking slowly, and the Lord walked up from behind and began a conversation with them. Now behold, two of them were traveling that same day to the village called Emmaus. They walked together, and so while they were conversing and reasoning, Jesus himself drew near and went with them. Their eyes were restrained so that they did not know who he was. He said to them, "What is this kind of conversation that you are having one with another, and you are walking, and you're sad?" One of them said, "Are you only a stranger in Jerusalem, and you have not known the things which have happened in these last days?" And he said, "What things?" "Concerning Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty indeed, and before God and the people, and how the chief priests and our rulers delivered him to be condemned to death, and they crucified him. And certain women of our company arrived early at the tomb and astonished us. They did not find his body. They came saying that they had also seen a vision of angels, and they said he was alive." And Jesus said to them, "O foolish ones, slow of heart, ought not the Christ to have suffered these things to enter into his glory?" And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he expounded to them all the scriptures concerning himself. And they constrained him, saying, "Abide with us. It's towards evening." And he went on. And now as they went on, and he sat down with them, and that as they're at the table, their eyes were opened, and they knew him, and he vanished from their sight. And then they turned one to another and said, "Did our hearts not burn within us when he talked with us on the road, and when he opened the scriptures to us?" Amen. I have a number of familiar things up here. I want to show you some of them. See if you can tell what they are. Sometimes things are easy to identify. Who knows what this is? You know what that is? You know what that is? It's not harmful. You can look at it. What do you think that is? It's not a bracelet. You got a bracelet in your hand, so I know it's not a bracelet. How about these? Does anybody not know what these are? Do you know what these are? Yeah. They're scissors. What can they cut? Brick? Paper. Paper, fabric. All right. How about this? What do you think that is? This somehow gets into the pastor's office and never leaves. And the pastor never uses it. Okay, so those are some easy ones. How about, all right. This is attached to a string so I don't lose it. Do you know what this is? Do you know what that is? Do you know what that is? You think you know what it is? Go ahead, say it. A shoehorn, so that when you're driving down the road, you don't want your foot to get run over, you beep the horn, the shoehorn. What is it? It looks like a necklace just on a string because I don't want to lose it. But he's right. It's a shoehorn. Strange name, but you don't see them very often, so now you've learned something new. This is for putting your shoes on. It helps your foot get past the heel. I'm not going to demonstrate. It doesn't make a sound. It's not that kind of horn. Now, I have a few more here. Some of them are easy. Now, if you're really a musician, you know that I should be doing a certain thing depending on what the timing is. But so you know what that is? Does anybody know what the name is? A baton. Okay. A musical baton for the conductor to help with the band or the orchestra. Now, if I was your age, I wouldn't know what this is. You know what that is? Everybody recognizes this, right? Better than perhaps the musical baton. When I was your age, this is not how car keys were made. So if I were sitting in church 50 years ago or more, and somebody held up this thing, I'd wonder what on earth. And you guys simply know what it is because you see it every day, over and over again. Well, maybe not every day. So those are some simple ones. How about just 3 more? It looks like it could be a GPS compass. It's not. It is. It's a tuner. You clip this on the end of your musical instrument, and you turn it on, and it will tell you if your strings are the right tone or not, the right pitch. Some people can do that just by their ear, and others of us need one of these. All right, last couple of ones. Whoop! Can you get that for me, Audra? Sorry to yell. Can you tell what that is? It's a guitar key. Yes, it is, except it's for a banjo. It's a tuner that makes the banjo go meow, meow while you're playing it. It's called a Keith tuner, named after Mr. Keith, who invented it, even though another banjo player, much more famous than Mr. Keith, actually did it without a Keith tuner. And finally, I know you people in the back. I'm not going to come back and show you all these things. I'm sorry. The children's talk. You know what this is? Nobody knows what this one. It looks like a rubber band. No? So speaking of banjos, this is a banjo thumb pick. Yeah? You can hold that. If it breaks, that's no big deal. So all this having to do with the Lord walking along the road, and people didn't recognize him. So I want to hold this up and see if you recognize that. Do you know what that is? Can you tell? It's writing. It's writing. The Lord, it said, told them all the things in the scriptures that had to do with him, but they didn't get a bigger picture. They didn't really recognize from all the things he was saying that they were talking about him. So that same section of writing, anybody recognize this? You might have seen this before. Can you pick out an image? Are you starting to recognize? What are you recognizing? What do you think that is? It's the same writing. I made it a little bit smaller, better context. You can get the whole picture. So who do you think that's a picture of? Go ahead. The Lord. The Lord. And can you see that it's actually in writing? That it's actually, those are somebody writing on that? So this is the writing up close. And sometimes, you can look at that. Sometimes the Lord's talking to us and we don't recognize it. Sometimes the Lord's showing us things, some things we know about, like all those objects. Some of the objects you knew what they were. Sometimes you just don't know. You need to be taught. The Lord was teaching his disciples. They didn't really understand that he had to die in order to be glorified and that he would live again. And there he was, living proof as he's walking along with them that he was alive. And finally they said, our hearts burned within us as we walked along the way, and he told us these things. How special it is for us to have the Lord teach us the things that seem so obvious in many ways. Once we know what they are, it's clear. When we know who the Lord is, it's clear that what he's teaching us is to help us. But sometimes we don't see that, and sometimes we actually see it and then lose sight of it. Sometimes we go along with what the Lord's saying really easily, and then after a while it's like, no, I don't think I like that idea so much. Sure the Lord really wants me to do that? So when we want to see the Lord, he'll show himself to us. The various ways that we do see the Lord are special, and our hearts should burn within to try to understand more and more of what the Lord says to us.